So, good afternoon, everybody. I see a lot of familiar faces around, and I think it's Saturday, right? Saturday, so I'm sure like you had a good holiday in the morning, the afternoon spent here, right? So, as we all know that from today onwards, we'll be going to start some Buddhist psychology sessions. So basically, I'm becoming a psychologist here. But yeah, so I think like firstly, so before as we are starting a Dharma session, it's really important for us to have a motivation, right? So not only a Dharma session, but not only just a Dharma session, but before we start any kind of work, any kind of secular work, right? Any kind of work, it's important to have like a good motivation that motivates us to do that work. Otherwise, if the work or activity or whichever is based on our negative emotions like greed, anger, then the result itself, the final result that will come out itself will be also bad. Whereas if the motivation, the intention are good, then the outcome and the result, the final result, the ultimate result will be good, right? So the takeaway here mainly is bad motivation or like negative motivation creates negative results, and good motivation gets good results in the long run. I'm not saying in the short run, but like the long run, right? So we see a lot of examples like that. So suppose I don't know whether you have heard this or not, but there is this thing called Paul Farmer and the Partners in Health, right? Okay, so this is basically, I'm feeling really off the topic. So I'll explain to you a little. So Paul Farmer is a medical doctor type. So he went to Haiti for his internship, right? Internship and all. So there he saw, of course, the people there suffering from like tuberculosis, TB, right? TB and etc. So when he went as an intern, he saw this and he felt really sad and really, what do we call, compassion for the people there, wanting to get rid of their illness, the sickness that there is there. So as he went up, he create a group of community or like a group where, and Partners in Health, right? So they went back there and are helping a lot of people. So in a way, the compassion driven from his experience of going to Haiti created all this benefit for others, right? Benefit for others, and in the end, the result is coming. The results are coming out that the sickness is reducing, right? Reducing in that specific place. So that's like I'm giving a good motivation creates a good example, a compassion-driven motivation, right? So similarly, the other way around is also true, where bad motivation and bad intent leads to bad results. We can see a lot of real-life examples here, where like we can say the desire for like superiority, like thinking that your attachment to your own, superiority and imposing it upon others creates a lot of different negative impact on the world, right? All this, what do you call, like wars and everything, right? So here we can see the bad motivation creating a bad result, right? Bad result. Of course, the bad result in this sense is harming others, right? So similarly, motivation fueled by ego, hate, anger creates a result that is also harming us physically or mentally, right? Similarly, we can see like motivation of greed in corporate sense, that if the corporate themselves are like too greedy and don't value human life that much, and human lives, they are basically profit driven, right? If the corporates and all this, what do we call, businesses are profit driven, then the outcome itself is bad, right? Suppose this I learned, like, do you know about the Teflon causing cancer or something? Yes, the pan, yeah. So basically all this type of frying pan, right? For us, of course, as a normal human being who doesn't go all this, are not researching all this, then it becomes really hard for us to know what's causing this cancers and etc. like that, right? But a company, I think it's called DuPont, or some company called DuPont that created this, right? So if the company is based purely on profit, of course the intention can only be purely based on profit, and then it will harm others, right? Where you are not doing your due diligence of whether it may harm others or not. Similarly, like the products that they create will harm the customers or the end users, who basically are the general public, right? General public who don't who trust the company, right? So basically this is what I'm saying. Good motivation relates to good results. Of course, the good results in this sense is not harming others, benefiting others, whereas bad motivation relates to bad results, like harming others. So similarly, I hear that we are here, if the company is purely focused on the profit and the numbers, then the people will be harmed, right? Suppose, like, I think there is a vapes, for example, right? So vapes, for example, if the company is purely focused on numbers of selling their product to the general public, then of course, like something simple as a vape, right? Vape can create problems for the public, where it's harming the new generations and so on, right? So these are like based on the bad motivation of the business owners, creating bad problems, right? So similarly, for, I think O levels are coming up, or is it already started, or?
Started, yeah.
Already started, right? So, okay. So similarly for your examinations, right? Similarly for examination, if you are only focused on getting, good results, and attached to that good results and want that good results, right? So the motivation may be cheating, right? Motivation may be cheating to get the good results. So the student will try to cheat, and the motivation, because based on cheating and greed for that result, right? Greed for that result, or want for that result, attachment to that result, desire for that result, may get them the result, but they will pass the exam, but they will never gain the knowledge, right? They will never gain the knowledge that's there. So when in the long run, when they are faced with a job, right, they pass like this, and when they later get a job, then they won't be able to handle the situation or so on, unless they reframe themselves and learn about it again, right? Which is creating, like, basically bad motivation of wanting to cheat, creating a bad result for you. So similarly, if the leadership itself is power hungry and all, then the country itself becomes unstable and the system becomes corrupt, and the people won't like living there, right? Whereas if the otherwise is also true, right? Whereas the other way is also true, where if the leadership is based on compassion for the people and based on the well-being of the people, then you get a community or a system which is really good. The living example is, of course, Singapore itself, right? A living example of like, I watched a documentary of the founding father of Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew. Yeah, Lee Kuan Yew. So it was really inspiring how he was for the people, right? And wanting the people to have a better life and creating all this, right? So these are like some examples in our own real life examples that good motivation, good intent creates good results, whereas bad motivation can create bad results in the long run. In the short run, maybe some of them will be like little satisfying results, but in the long run, it will harm us, right? So similarly, helping others, right? In the helping others, similarly, just to be praised or so on, if somebody helps others just to be praised, just to be seen, like, oh, that person is really doing good, then when the intention itself is for you to get praised and you don't get praised, right? The people don't see that, and you don't get praised, you don't get recognition, the resentment will build. Then slowly people will start seeing that, right? Then the opposite happens, where you don't get praised and you are like blacklisted, not blacklisted, but you are like, scrowned upon, right? So these are the like thing. Whereas if you do purely not wanting praise, but purely do it just because you want to help others and for the benefit of others, then people will see that and people will praise you, right? Because the intention is not the attachment to the praise. So these are like simple examples of life, why motivation really matters. If it really matters in this in our simple life, like in real life, then of course in Dharma also, it's super important, right? It's the, number one important in the setting that motivation before we start anything that is dharmatic, right? Not dramatic, but dharma related. So that's the thing. So here I have no doubt that you all have come for the pure, you all have that motivation of wanting to improve yourself, wanting the betterment of the world or your social circles, and coming here in a holiday. So I have no doubt that you all have that intent of wanting to be better, right? Be better as a person. So that intent really itself is really commendable. So, but still, we must always keep asking ourselves, like, why are we here? What's the reason I'm here? If the intent, then we check the intent. If the intent is destructive emotions or negative emotions, negative thoughts, then we should change it, try to change it, right? So we must always ponder upon these questions. These questions are like really the base of whether the Dharma activity or the activity that you are doing becomes good or not, right? So then if we ask the question, the most probable answer is you saw GSDPL post announcement that we are going to learn about Buddhist psychology and how to get rid of your mental struggles, betterment of yourself. Then like loneliness and like stress, anxiety and all this, then you want to get rid of all this mental struggles and negative emotions, like not even get rid of, but to handle these negative emotions, which is a good motivation that we could start with, right? We could start with this motivation. So then we again think about it, right? So why are we facing these mental struggles? Why are we facing this strong negative emotions that are not only you but affecting almost everybody in the world, right? Almost every in the world. We look at the current situations that we are facing right now, right? There are we are really hyper connected through social media. We are really hyper connected. Like if you want to talk to somebody, you just have to press some buttons and go to an app, just write something and say hi, right? We are hyper connected in this sense, but still we are lonely and we are depressed, right? I'm not saying you are depressed, but general situation is that the general consensus is that people are depressed, and sometimes people are feeling like a NPC, whatever, NPC, like a non-playable character, like you are not the main character, right? You are not the main character, you are just going through the motions, like that type. So we look around us, we see a lot of this type of mental struggles happening, and not knowing how to deal with these mental struggles, sometimes people can go to the extremes, right? Not knowing how to handle this, people can go to the extremes. Suppose one of the things that I bought off was vaping. Some people may be feeling so lonely and depressed, or stress and anxiety, that they start vaping, which itself is not good, right? So it harms you in a way, so it's not good in the extent. So once we know how to control these mental struggles, then I feel you would find a meaning of life, you would find a more meaningful purpose, that you won't resort to all this sort of mental distraction, not mental distraction, but like extremism, right? Extreme going to the extreme of all this. So here I have no doubt that all of you want to change yourself, want to change the current situation as much as we can. We can't say that we want to change the world, but having the hope is good, right? Having the hope, we have something to strive for. Then we want to change the current situation, we want to help others, then for a better world for ourselves, themselves. Then we ask the question, where does this betterment of the world starts? basically what Buddha has said, right? Unless you are liberated, you cannot liberate others. So what does that mean? So in the sense that it all starts with you, right? It all starts with you. Inside your mind, it all starts with you. You meaning inside your mind, and how you handle all these emotions and everything, right? So at the core base, at the core, we all are living beings, and all living beings, we want happiness. We do not want suffering, whether it be mental or physical. So here, what the thing is if we want to help others, firstly, it must start with ourselves, our own selves, right? It must start with you. So, of course, like how to become a good person, like we have been through this in the previous classes, last year classes, I think, yeah, Dom's classes, like we did all this, like how to be considerate to others, how to not bootlick your bosses, right? How to not bootlick your bosses, and how to become a good person overall. But that's in general, right? So to become a real good person, we must be in tune with our own emotions. We must be in tune with our own mental struggles and recognize them and how to handle them, right? Even like get rid of them is a high level, like a more than a bodhisattva's level, but to be in control of them and handle them. So even if you are not able to get rid of, if you know about them, even if you are not able to get rid of all these mental struggles, if you are in tune with and aware of all this, how to handle it, you will become a kinder version of yourself. You will become more concentrate, more not bootlicky, not bootlicky. So, which is a hard thing to do specifically, right? Like become a kinder version of yourself. We say it's easy. It's in a way really easy. You just have to know yourself, right? Know yourself. Know your mental struggles. Know your emotions. When the emotions arise, why the emotion arises, and all this. So, as we all know that we all face mental struggles. So let's just have a thought experiment, right? Thought experiments. You answer yourself. You don't need to answer me or anything. So think of yourself like, have I laid awake at 3 a.m. overthinking? Like, okay, you went to an event, and after that you came back. Then somebody has maybe looked at you funnily, not like scrolled at you. Then you come back to your home, right? You come back to your home and you are thinking, oh, what did I do? Have you ever been faced with this type of thought, right? Like you come back to your home and think, oh, why did this person say this? Why did this person talk to me like this? Why did this person look at me like this, right? What is the meaning of this? So, and maybe like 1 hour you think about it. So, if the answer is yes, okay, just keep it there. Then the second question is, have you ever been like overwhelmed, like by work? Like suppose your boss gives you like tons of work, right? Finish this, gives you a deadline. Is it called deadline, right? Gives you a deadline. You have to finish this until, otherwise you are fired, right? Like any type of situations like this, and you felt really overwhelmed by work, studies. If it's a younger generation, of course, studies, like other things, right? So, if you have ever felt overwhelmed, and you answer yourself yes or no, okay? So you just answer yourself. No need to answer to anybody right now. Then, now the third question. Have you ever Okay, have you ever scrolled the social media, right? Scroll the social media and like after scrolling the social media for a certain amount of time, have you ever felt worse about yourself, right? Oh, that person is living a really good life, and oh, they went to, what's the best destination? Japan, I think. Yeah. Yeah, most people like Japan. So they went to Japan. Oh, now you see the photo and you felt worse. Why can I not go to Japan? Why can't I live their life, right? If you have felt this, just answer it to yourself, yes or no, then just leave it there. Then sometimes also like, if you have ever felt angry over a small thing, right? Angry over a small thing, like suppose your friend said something, and you got angry over it, and later on you felt stupid, right? So if you have felt all of this, like of course, like there are many other situations like this, but if you ever have felt yes to any of these situations, then we must also understand that you are not alone in this, right? You are not alone in this, because this is just you being human, right? In a way, this is just you being human. We all have this type of mental struggles in this world. We are not alone in this world, right? That's feeling all this. So that thought itself gives us a sense of, what do you call, get rid of the sense of like being alone, right? So what from here, what we know is deep inside, deep down, we just, and you don't like all these feelings, right? So deep down, we just want a calm mind that's able to handle all this and without losing ourselves, right? So basically what I was asking all this is, we can basically say the mental struggles of being lonely, overthinking, social anxiety or fear, and suppose like low self-esteem, stress, and jealousy, comparison of like going to Japan or not, and all this like type of brain rot, for example, right? Brain rot and scrolling until you feel worse about yourself, basically doom scrolling. Yeah. So all this, it's okay to feel them, right? You are feeling them because you are a human, and it's not something bad. It's not something what do you call, entirely bad. That's something really wrong with you that you are feeling all this. So if any of this like feeling seems familiar, we must always think of ourselves that we are not broken, we are not weak. It's just a human. You are a human living in 2025 that's feeling all these feelings, right? So it's human basically. So also like I read a report in Straits Times, I think. Straits Times. Yeah, I was just looking throughout doing for the teaching. I was just researching, right? So I found out a very interesting fact or survey or something, right? So in Singapore, read that 1 in 3 young people report poor mental health, like they are suffering from depression, anxiety, not only in Singapore but globally also, right? So this in a way shows like something is wrong, right? Something is wrong. Why are people feeling more depressed, more anxiety, even when we are hyper connected through social media? So this okay, so we'll talk about all this later, But basically, these are all sufferings that we do not want. We want to handle them. We all want peace of mind, right? From the deepest, if you really ask yourself, like, what is it that you want, right? What is it that you want? Temporarily, it may be fame, it may be money, right? It may be like you wanting to go to Japan and so on. But if we really again ask, right? Suppose you go to Japan this year, next year. If you start going every year, then suddenly Japan is like, you feel like Japan is just a normal place to go to, right? Suddenly you will feel like that. So then we try to go more deeper and we ask ourselves, what do we want? We want the peace of mind. We want to wake up calm, right, and handle all these mental struggles gracefully. I wouldn't say we can, of course, getting rid of them is also possible, but as a beginner, we want to just be able to, lessen these mental struggles, right? Lessen these mental struggles. Basically, we, at the core, because we are human beings, we don't want to be dealt with this mental suffering. So, why? This is the core, deep want from our heart, right? Core, deepest, what do we call? I'm getting lost for words. The core want of our heart, the deepest want of our heart.
Inner desire.
Yeah, inner desire. That's the correct word. Yes, the inner desire of our heart, right? Of course, because we have a lot of layers around it, but the core inner desire for us is that we just want to be happy, right? But sometimes this happiness, because we don't know how to handle our mental emotions and regulate it, comes at the expense of others, right? So how do we know that this is the core desire, right? So we can see, let's go like from baby to the old age, right? Babies, they cry when they suffer, right? They suffer in the physical sense or the emotional sense, they cry. They feel discomfort, they cry, right? That's because they can't communicate clearly enough. Like, and when they are happy, the thing they do is smile, right? Of course, if you had babies and handled with them, played with them, you will know that, right? It's a simple thing. So that in a way shows that basic nature is they just want happiness, not discomfort. Of course, babies right now, they won't have that complex emotion of getting stressed over studies. Imagine having a baby like that, huh? Like when they are just 1 year old, I have to study. Of course, they don't have that, but still they have that small mental struggles, not mental struggles like small mental struggles like discomfort, right? They have that discomfort feeling and basically that. So when we grow up into a more teenager type, right? Teenager type, then again it's the same. We go to school, right? But if we don't have any physical suffering, then what's causing us suffering? Mental suffering, right? So mental struggles of not being able to complete the course, study, and having expectation of life in the later. So it's the same, right? Basically, when you are happy, you smile, laugh, and in a peace of mind, you just relax. But if you are in a mental struggle, then you go to the extremes or so on. So it's similar in the universities also, right? Once the teenager goes to the university, it's the same thing. The process again repeats itself, right? Then again in the work life, right? Once you start being employed, it's the same thing. Even if you have physical happiness, if your boss is calling you at night, 1 a.m. to finish this work, I need it tomorrow, right? So it's the same. Basically, the boss is giving us mental struggles, right? So it's the same. So here we find out that the fundamental want that we have we don't want to have physical suffering, of course, right? Then the second one is we don't want to have the mental suffering, right? So, like, of course, each and every person will have a different disposition of how they can handle certain type of mental struggles, right? Suppose somebody can handle depression, somebody can handle loneliness, but they cannot handle stress, right? Stress and so on. So each and every individual, how they experience the mental struggles, how they handle it, how they are able to cope with it is different. So, because how we are brought up and all these factors come into place, right? So, sometimes we forget that material acquisition, right? Even though it may give you a slight peace, it won't give you the long-lasting peace, right? Which is mental peace. We see when we are young, we are taught that okay, become successful. The meaning of success itself, right? So as a child, you look at the like small toddler, right? Toddler, is it called toddler? Yeah, toddlers. Toddlers, they are just happy, right? They are just, as long as they don't have physical what do you call, suffering, as long as they don't have physical suffering, they are just happy just to live in their world, right? They don't have that mental stress. Just focus on the play and they are happy, right? Then as we grow up, we are taught by the society and the environment that obtaining more, right? Obtaining more, having more material acquisitions, having more things is basically will make you more happy. Like, suppose you have one, is it called BHK here? I don't know. BHK is bedroom, hall, kitchen. Bedroom, hall, kitchen. Is this? Okay. Flat. Suppose it's HDB. HDB is house.
Housing development.
Oh, okay. No, not HDB. But suppose if you have a house, like one flat, one bedroom house, then the want will be, you want more, right?
Yes.
The 2-bedroom house. Then more and more. Then later on you will want to have one whole building for yourself, which is in a way lonely, right? Then we are taught from small that growing up, right? Once you have more, you will be more happy. Then when we have that more, then we again want more. 1 bedroom to 2 bedroom, 2 bedroom to 3 bedroom, then a whole building, right? The material acquisition or will not bring happiness, right? So whatever you have right now, you want more than that. So if material acquisition is not the true happiness, what is the true happiness? We ask this question, right? So when we ask this question, we generally find being satisfied with what we have and being satisfied with what we have, being not having all these mental struggles, mental sufferings, is the happiness that we want, right? Is the happiness being comfortable in your own skin? Is it? Is this the correct terminal, like type? Okay. So then again we ask the question: if all these mental struggles are not there, then how would you change? Would you be a kinder person? If you are dealing with your own mental struggles, it's really hard to become a kind person, right? It's really hard to be kind to others during this time. Suppose you are angry and somebody suddenly says to you, "You be kind." How would you? How would you? Right? How would you? If you are suffering from depression, it's sometimes you can be, but like it's really hard, right? So how to handle this? All these mental depressions and all this, we find that now there are like two approaches we can take towards it, right? The modern approach, the modern psychology, we go to a psychologist, and or we take a spiritual approach, spiritual Buddhist approach, right? Both of these approaches helps us deal with all these type of mental struggles, right? And both of these are the more prominent ways of handling what do we call mental struggles, right? So I'm not here to say that modern psychology is bad or anything, because as a monk I know that modern psychology really benefits lots of people, right? It's really amazing how like people have started to go more to psychologists, talk about the mental struggles, right? It's really amazing. Otherwise, if you keep it in yourself, then in a way the bubble may burst, right? So there are a lot of like different type of advancements happening in modern psychology that really benefits a lot of the patients who have modern mental struggles, right? So suppose there's this cognitive based training which help us reduce the negative patterns, and of course there's like MBSR. I'm sure you have heard of it. Okay, even if you haven't heard of it, mindfulness based stress reduction, which was developed by I think John Kabat-Zinn. John Kabat-Zinn is a doctor. Okay, so basically he went to Thailand to learn Buddhism and create his own way of dealing with stress, right? MBSR. So, and we also have these days we are seeing a spike in mindfulness apps, right? Backed by psychologists, and of course they also do dialect therapy, right? Talking therapy and counseling and all this. Yes, and all of this are really helpful in dealing with your mental struggles, right? Coping with your mental struggles. And also there are like I think medicines which help reduce depression and help reduce the stress. So of course modern scientific approach, the modern approach of psychologists try to teaches us how to cope with all this. And of course when we are stressed or depressed, all this like different chemicals in our body goes haywire, like cortisol or adrenaline, right? So when we are stressed, usually the scientists say that we are in a flight or fight mode, right? Either you fight or either you run mode when we are stressed. So basically if your bosses are giving you stresses and like studies are giving you stress, it's like basically it's activating the flight or the fight mode, which is either you survive for your survival, right? So this in a way modern psychology and modern science help us deal with through pills and to medications and through counseling and everything. So even recently recently there was a Mind and Life symposium in Dharamsala, right? Mind and Life symposium in Dharamsala, where many medical professionals from the psychology department and from all over the world, right? Especially Google DeepMind. I heard that Google DeepMind had attended that Mind and Life symposium, which is organized by the Compassion Institute, which is founded by Geshe Thuden Jinpa, right? So all this are coming together to handle mental struggles, which is really amazing itself. So we have also like Long, can we show the? Yes. We also have like modern resources for what do you call, knowing what's going in our mind, right? So like I think it's like Atlas of Emotions, right? Atlas of Emotions, this site where it shows how we deal with what's the reaction and what's the strategy or so on. So yeah, let's see here. Suppose we are in anger, right? Let's just, so this is basically, they have like 5, let's go one step back, right? 5 main emotions, right? Anger, is it anger? I couldn't see properly. Yes, anger, disgust, and what's the fear and sadness. Enjoyment, is it? Yes, enjoyment. Yes. So suppose we have fear, anger, right? So these are the advancements in like modern psychology, where it has advanced a really lot to help us cope with our mental struggles and emotions, right? Suppose you go to anger, and these are the different levels of anger that you may feel, right? So maybe the question for you all is coming, I thought I was going to come for a Buddhist psychology class. Why is this modern psychology thing coming up? Why am I going in the science class, right? But I feel it's for a modern Buddhist, 21st century Buddhist, to really understand the mind, we must know where it's coming from and how the modern approach is, right? Modern approach is not really so different from the Buddhist approach, right, that we are doing right now. So here it shows like different levels of anger that you would have, right? And what are the responses that you will have? Suppose, let's say response, right? So the responses for anger is dispute, passive aggressive, and sometimes when you are angry with your friend, then you get into a dispute with them, right? You argue with them, then you insult them, right? You quarrel with them. Then if it goes a little bit more extreme, you may yell at them, try to use abusive words, right, to hurt them. So at the extreme anger, we will have like physical abuse and all this, right? So this in a way shows our I really like this diagram and the representation and visualization of how they have shown the anger, right? So maybe we go to this, what do we call? Experience, beginning. Yeah, there is that one arrow, no? You get upset, you get angry, all this. Yes. This shows, here it shows like, what's the first one? Yeah, a friend gets angry with you. You either feel fear or anger. There are many different ways you may respond, right? If a friend is angry with you and says something that can trigger you, and you may either feel fear, you may either feel anger, you may either feel disgust. One action has many responses, right? So, or you may either feel sadness. Of course, this is my real friend. This is my best friend. Why is he saying such bad things to me? You may feel sadness, right? Or if it's like enjoyment, this is a really complicated scenario, right? Suppose can you enjoy when your friend is getting angry at you? So of course, if you and your friend are going to something, doing something, and you are better at it, the friend may get angry, and you may be like, the response may be you gloat, right? I'm better than you. You say anything, I'm not that. So this in a way really is a good visualization from the modern perspective, like how these emotions are, right? So you can try this. If you want the link, you can ask Ivan for the link, and you can try playing with it, right? So here I'm basically making your children to play with your emotions, right? So this is really good example, right? So I'm showing you all this because this is a really good base to start, right? Why modern psychology is really good in this time. So from here we know that modern psychology is like having a really good GPS, right? GPS, it tells you where you are and how you may respond to the situation. It's scientific, it's evidence-based also, and it has really helped millions, right? So, but there is some challenges that we face, right? If you really go to a modern, what do you call, modern psychology, there is that we don't get appointments easily. There is that problem, and if you want it right now, you cannot get it right now. You have to be dependent on the other people's times, and also like the modern psychologist's focus is on managing the symptoms, right? Managing the symptoms, not eliminating the, what do you call, root causes. Yeah, root causes. So modern psychology is really excellent and really good at making you understand how you feel, helping you cope, and helping you function, right? Helping you function in the world. But what if we want more than just coping, right? We want to transform ourselves, right? It's not just coping, but we want to transform ourselves truly from inner, right? And what if we want to, what do we call, get rid of anxiety, not just managing it, not just controlling it, but transcending it, and not just coping with stress, but find unshakable peace. Become a tough-minded person, right? So, and one thing also is, I think the psychologists are expensive. If any of you have attended, please tell me whether it's expensive or not, but I probably feel that it will be expensive, right? So these are the limitations, and also like there are millions of people facing all these mental struggles, and limited number of one-to-one psychologists also, right? So, but here is an interesting fact, right? I feel the recent psychology, modern psychology, has been around for almost 150 or 200 years. It started like that, and it's starting to evolve, right? But an interesting fact, Buddha was the first psychologist, real psychologist, and he taught it like 2,500 plus years ago, right? He taught it. So psychology basically means like, of course, you learning how the mind behaves, how your thought processes are, right? So it was really taught 2,500 plus years ago, how your thought processes are, how it begins, how to cultivate it. Like, that's what amazes me about it, right? What modern psychology is catching up to is Buddha has already told about it. So it's the real original psychology that we are going to learn here, which has a, what do you call, tradition about 2,500 plus years ago. So also like there is like 2,500 plus years of research and development that has happened, right? I don't mean in the scientific sense, but of course like there are a lot of test subjects in this Buddhist psychology, right? We are also the test subjects of the Buddhist psychology. So here the focus of the Buddhist psychology is it teaches you how to have complete mental freedom, not just what do you call, not just treating the symptoms, right? Not just letting you handle the symptoms. So I would use the word Buddhist psychologist. Buddha is the first Buddhist psychologist, and after that, teachers like Asanga, Vasubandhu, right? They came and spread the Buddha's psychologist teachings. So they asked a really interesting and simple and ultimate question. How can a human being be genuinely, lastingly, happily, and peaceful? Right? How can a human being attain such type of bliss, a mental freedom, right? Mental toughness or mental resiliency? They didn't ask the question, how can we just cope with this, right? How can we just cope with this? But they asked the question, how can we be free? How can we handle it, right? So let's have imagination, like a short time of imagination. Let's think of like 2,500, let's go back 2,500 years ago. We are like really ancient and old already, right? We go back, and I'm sure at the point of time, most people were like believing in God, Creator God, and praying to the sun for happiness and all this. I'm not saying it's bad at all, but it gives you hope, right? And everybody was hoping for the divine intervention of like somebody will come take away these mental struggles, like that, right? And Buddha said, let's forget all this. Let's forget all this. Let's not focus on that. Like, let's study one's own self. Let's study the mind itself, right? Let's become the psychologists or scientists of your own mind, of your own consciousness. Let's figure out how this thing works, right? So I'm not saying Buddha explicitly said that, but just imagine if Buddha was saying that, right? So from here on, it shows why Buddhist psychology is truly different, right? Buddha asked a question where I think modern psychology still struggles with today, right? The question was, how can a human achieve a complete, permanent freedom of suffering? Right, permanent. Okay, you want to do it? Okay, so permanent freedom of suffering. Buddha asked this important question, right? Not just dealing with the symptoms, not how we manage our symptoms, not how we can cope a little bit better, not how we function enough to just work on like an NPC. I'm not saying anybody is an NPC, okay? Nobody is an NPC. Everybody is a main character. Yeah, or just function, right? So let's also imagine we have like a tree, right? You are a tree, right? You are a tree. Okay, you are a tree. Are you really a tree? Okay, you all are a tree. Okay, so when I say you all are a tree, I'm not saying you are like emotionless and all this, right? So imagine that you are a tree and you have a lot of branches, right? A lot of branches. Each branch is your mental struggle. One is anxiety, one is depression, one is, what do we call? One is FOMO, one is like comparison, one is loneliness, and all these branches. If you cut the branches, right, what will happen? It will grow again. So basically, modern psychology is, in a way, when you are taking the pills and etc. Of course, modern psychology may help you, some people that genuinely to get rid of these mental struggles, but overall, generally, if you stop taking the pills, the depression creeps back, right? And all this. So it grows back. The branches grow back again. Again, you will have to cut them. Again, you have to chop them off. But Buddha thought, what if we take out the tree from the root, right? If we take out the root, the branches itself will shrivel and dry up, right? So imagine yourself as a tree. From now on, this is your practice. Imagine yourself as a tree, and Buddha trying to take out you from the root, right? So basically, think of yourself as a root. Then I'm not saying Buddha take you out of the root, that Buddha just make you dry and everything, but like your mental struggles, right? If you think like that, then you will see the difference between modern psychology and Buddhist psychology, right? So Buddha really had a, revolutionary approach towards how the mind works and how it affects us, right? So he studied the mind systematically through direct experimentation. Direct experimentation is meditating, right? Meditating on, recognizing the mind, how the mind works. And he also taught a complete map of human consciousness documented in the Abhidharma Sutra and Abhidharma itself. So he differentiated between consciousness and how the consciousness works and how the mental factors, right? What are the mental factors that cause us all this suffering? Also, he also explained of course he has done a lot of things. He also explained how our thoughts are impermanent, right? How that image of you being something rigid is impermanent, how your thoughts will change. So when you have that type of thinking, it in a way elevates yourself, right? You are stuck with this talk. When you are stuck with depression, when you are stuck with loneliness, you feel like this is never going to end. I'm stuck in this loneliness. I'm stuck in this loop, right? Again and again and again. But the thought itself, Buddha teaching that it can arise and pass in milliseconds. It can change. It's itself a really revolutionary approach towards psychology, right? And it was also a genius approach about how the mind works, right? How the mind of course, in the mind we differentiate between the main mind and all these mental factors. We won't go really technical about that. So the genius approach of Buddha was, he got really sophisticated and categorized. Basically, you have to recognize the 6 root causes, right? 6 root causes for all this mental suffering. So 6 enemies, basically 6 enemies of your peace, right? Which we can say the one is the main villain, which we'll talk about. Think of them in the modern term. Think of them as a video game where you have to defeat 6, and the 6th one is the main villain that you have to defeat, right? So he categorized in that. So it changed everything during that time, right? So he also developed an antidote for each poison, right? 6 poisons trying to kill you, trying to destroy your inner peace, and 6 antidotes to help you get better. So he also made it practical for the ordinary people, not just for monks. It's not something that just monks do, right? It's also like something that a lay person can also do. So what he taught was, if you genuinely go through his practices and all, you will find unshakable peace, right? Unshakable peace and clear wisdom, genuine happiness, right? So that's the genius approach and revolutionary approach that Buddha took, which is different from right now. And it has already been 2,500 centuries since he showed this way, right? What's the problem is that we are not focusing on it, right? So it's a complete, and what Buddha has taught about the Buddhist psychology is a complete, tested and proven science of the mind, right? Psychology of the mind, which has been taught for 2,500 years, right? And the thing is, it is available to each and every one of us. Each and every one of us can use this resource of Buddhist psychology and better ourselves. It's available to us right here, right now, and basically it's also without any complications, right? So this thought itself, Buddha's thought itself on eliminating the cause, not just handling the symptoms, is really contrasts really from the modern psychology, right? And also the funny thing is, modern psychology is finally catching up. As His Holiness said in one of his previous interactions with neuroscientists and all this, compared to Buddhist psychology, modern psychology is a baby. So His Holiness basically said that, right? So it's in the beginning stages, basically. So Buddhists have a lot of research on this practices. It's not that we don't have a research, it's just that we don't have the sophisticated way of scientific data collecting and all this. So now modern researchers are researching all this, and here we can see that Buddhist practices, Buddhist way of doing this thinkings literally rewire your brain, right? Basically, if you are a really depressed person, it can heal you. Also, it can reduce the cortisol, the stress hormone that is there. And it can also reduce activity in the amygdala, so which is a fear center, of course. There is a fear center in our brain. So all this. So now, what modern psychology is also doing is they are using a lot of Buddhist-based practices, taking from them and developing in an easy-to-way manner, right? So, Harvard and Stanford and all this big institutions are also implementing this, right? So that's the thing. Okay. So here, what the thing is that what we need to know is Buddhist psychology is really accessible. It's been there for 2,500 plus years, and there is a lot of test subjects that have really gone through the test, like Asanga and Vasubandhu, who have gone through the test and got rid of all this, right? And even if you couldn't get rid of it, you can handle it more than you can before. So here, you are the healer yourself. Buddhist psychology is, when you learn Buddhist psychology, you are the healer yourself. You are not dependent on the psychology therapists of schedules. Of course, if you can go to them, you should go to them if it's needed, right? Then you don't have to wait for the medications, and you yourself have the power to transform your mind. So this is the core strength of the Buddhist psychology, where you are the healer of your own, right? As Buddha has said in the sutras, you are your own enemy, you are your own friend. That's really deep, You are your own friend, you are your own enemy. You destroy yourself, you can make yourself the best version of yourself, right? So this sentence itself is really, really profound. So here this can be interpreted on a lot of level, right? So there are basically two sutras, one saying you are your enemy, you are my friend, and how are you your friend? Once you are able to eliminate the mental afflictions, right, and control the mental afflictions, then you will be peaceful and you are your own friend. You will benefit others also. So here what is That's what he's saying. The state of your mind is a key factor in determining your own mental happiness, right? Your own happiness. So there is nobody that's just going to come and take out all your sufferings, take it away with him, and just cut like a tree, right? Just cut the branches and take out your roots. Here, what is it? There is no external force that will come and liberate us. The liberation has to come from ourself, one's own self, one's own. So, one's own self, like how they handle the mental frame of mind, the nature and the mind. So, for that, to have the real liberation, you have to understand the nature of the mind, right? What's the nature of the mind? What is destructive? What is constructive, or what is a good thing? So in the later sessions, our main objective should be like how can you use this psychology to have more inner peace, right? Become more peaceful person. So over the sessions, I would be talking about the mind and the awareness and all this, right? But I would not talk in the traditional way, which I may get slack for. So the traditional way is really like analytical and too much like going into it, right? So, but we would try to do it in a more practical and applicable way for the daily people, right? We as monks, we learn this mind and awareness when we are at class 8, when I was, I think, 12, 13, 14 years old. I think 13 years old. When I was 13 years old. So we learn at a very young age, right? And there, what we learn is really different from what I'm going to teach here. I'm not keeping it because it's a secret. But there is a process, right? So, of course, we will go through all this and we will try to add a little bit of that type of flair here also. But sometimes you may think like, okay, the Lori basically has to go through like, okay, 7, 8, and all this like categories are there, right? But I don't think it's really necessary for like that, because we are not coming here to become scholars, right? Some of you maybe, but I don't know. But basically, it's to apply to our own self, right? So during these sessions, you would find the root enemies of your mind, and after that, we hope that we will have at the end of the session, we would have a type of mental strength that is calm and emotional freedom, and you can have more clear thinking, more natural kindness, and all this, right? Then this in a way is like how to transform yourself, right? Not just control it. So your homeworks session and the homeworks, right? Now I'm giving you mental stress. Study. It would be really helpful if you could write down in your own time, right? You just write down what emotion or mental state causes you the most suffering, right? What emotion later on, not right now. Of course, when you think about it, think about it. What mental state causes you the most suffering, right? And I would like you all to ponder upon these two questions, right? What mental state causes you the most suffering, and what would your life look like if you are completely free from this mental struggle? Suppose loneliness is something that is really giving you suffering, right? Then if you are free from loneliness, what would your life look like? What do you envision your mind look like? I would like you to have this homework, right? These two homework on these two questions, and maybe I'll mark them. So that's the thing. So okay, just keep that in mind and try to do it, right? It's not that you would fail, but just let's do that, right? So then here also, like, basically that's what Buddhist, when you come to the, what would your life look like, right? So that's what basically what Buddhist psychology is offering here. It's not just information, it's not just what we call data just thrown at you, right? Data just thrown at you. It's basically transforming yourself from the inside, right? Transforming yourself from the inside, not making you fat, basically, but why did this joke come about? I don't know. Transforming yourself from the inside, making you more healthier, right? Making you more healthier in the sense that you are more healthy hygienically from the inside, not just the outside. So that's the thing. So also one of the things that makes the Buddhist psychology really powerful is the growing scientific evidence, right? As I told before, the neuroplasticity research, right? How the brain itself is changing when you have this kind of good practices related to like emotional regulation and like controlling all this emotion. Then also like MBSR and all this have like proven scientific data. It's not just that we are saying because we want to Buddhist psychology to become the best, right? There is that what do we call scientific validation. It's not that we need the scientific validation, but there is the scientific validation. So the path forward from now is we don't treat modern psychology and Buddhist psychology as really different and really like if you practice one you cannot do one, but we combine the both. We try to combine the both, right? But keep in mind as the way of accessibility, the thinking of the pros of easiness of accessibility, then practice Buddhist psychology, right? When we think about this, then we see the benefits of the both spectrums. It also helps us embrace the full spectrum, right? Embrace the full spectrum of this. And when these two are working together synergetically, then we are witnessing really a holistic way of approaching about how to handle the mental health, right? So they are not competing systems. The modern psychology and the Buddhist psychology are not competing systems, but complementary to each other, right? Suppose all this, right? Do you think somebody would be trying all this in a Buddhist psychology? It's hard to find, right? So it's hard to find, really hard to find. So this type of, we use all these resources that are, at the end goal is happiness, mental well-being, mental hygiene, and all this, right? So the unified vision is there, right? But of course, sometimes I wouldn't say all psychology, but sometimes the medical professionals go for profit-based, right? So it may cause a problem here also. So here, as Buddha had said before, you are your own friend, you are your own enemy. When you have the power, why let it depend on, like, not, I wouldn't say not let it depend on others, that's like too harsh a word, but why not take control of it, right? So that's the thing. Here what we come to a conclusion is both Buddhist psychology and modern psychology both recognize our minds create our reality, right? Whatever we are feeling, whatever we are experiencing, mental struggle, etc., right? That creates our reality, and by understanding and transforming our how we think about it, the mental process that is there, identifying the mental struggles, identifying the emotions about how they arise, we can really fundamentally change our life, right? Our experience of our life, right? Of course, we have to live our lives, right? Of course, we have to live our lives, but how we experience the life, right, will really change once you know all this. So, all this, right? So, then in our generation right now, I'm not saying I'm so young, our generation, what's our generation by the way?
Gen Y, millennial.
Millennial? Okay. So all the generations from Gen Y to Gen Z to all this, we are facing a lot of mental health challenges, right? Previously, I feel it used to be there, but it's not so elevated or what do you call extreme, right? Extreme. So here it shows due to the hyperconnectivity, due to the constant bombardment of stuff, constant advertisements, and all these things, we have a lot of digital distraction, social isolation, despite being connected, right? Despite being connected, and we also have this information overload, and because the algorithms in the social media apps basically show you negativity more than positivity. So all this creates creates a scare, fear also, the mental struggle of fear, right? So then how to handle all this, right? Even if you scroll, not be consumed by it. Then these are the struggles that we face and the root causes we need to handle that will help us, right? So one of the main advantage of Buddhist psychology also is it doesn't require any equipment. It's just yourself on a, maybe the most equipment you may require is a, what do you call this, cushion. Now, most high level equipment that we may require is cushion and maybe a little bit of coolness, right? Only that much. So as we move forward, right, we have to know that there is this understanding in Buddhist teaching that a large part of the sources of our own suffering is within us, right? Similarly as how the bodhicitta and all the good parts are in us, the afflictions and the sources of our own suffering lies within yourself also, right? Lies within. When you learn to control them, then the external factors will not matter that much. So lies within us, like our states of mind, our disturbing emotions, and so on. These lead to suffering, right? So understanding your mind, understanding the mental factors that affect your mind is really important for your own happiness. So all of this really points out that if we are serious about freedom from the mental struggles, if we are serious about happiness, we have to be serious about understanding the nature of the mind, or Buddhist psychology, right? Identifying the key sources, key afflictions of the mind itself, and bring about a transformation on yourself, right? So, of course, it's not easy. Buddha himself admitted in one of his texts that since the mind is so complex, it's not easy to explain it, right? But I will explain it. So Buddha is like that. So that's the thing. So okay, so of course for your practice also, like bodhicitta and all this, it's really important, because to have the virtuous qualities of all this good type of mind generations, you need to have elimination and know the afflictiveness that's arising with it, right? So you can lessen the afflictive emotion, disruptive emotions, and cultivate the virtuous side. So that's the thing. So this session itself is not an end point, but it's just a beginning to what we are going to be cover in other sessions. So we are going to learn the original and the ultimate psychology, right? Ultimate psychology that others are trying to implement, right? Implement and try to come here. So the session here won't be about too traditional and, of course, like too academic, traditional or academic, because of course you all have work and all this to attend to, right? Work and the regular life that you have to attend to. So you won't have the time to engage. If you have the time, please engage. Okay. If I'm sure you don't have the time to. You won't have the time to engage in the classical texts of the Indian masters and the Tibetan masters and all this, right? Of course, for me, it's like my livelihood. Like I like indulging in this, right? So here I'll try to condense as much as these teachings, right? Condense it in an easy manner. So the goal here is not to make you a scholar, right? But to make you understand your mental well-being. So in the upcoming sessions, we'll be discussing about the 6 root kleshas with different types of kleshas, what are there, and the 3-step framework. First is to identify the different bad emotions and all this. We'll be going through each session all these 3, right? The first is identifying the bad emotions and afflictions. Secondly, what is the cause that we feel this is? What is the cause that this emotion is arising, and how will it lead to another type of suffering, right? Thirdly, how can we overcome it? What are the tools from the Buddhist practices that we can use to overcome this, right? So, as I said in the beginning of this teaching, to become a good human being, you must be in tune, you must know your emotions, you must be in tune with your emotions, you must know how to handle them, and you must know the mental struggles that you are facing, acknowledge them, and acknowledge all the causes and what's causing you this. And plus, if you want to become a good Buddhist, right, a good Buddhist practitioner, or firstly you have to become a good human being. So learning Buddhist psychology is the basis of you becoming a good human being, right? So I think, so at the end, the transformation of mind begins with a slow step, right? One step at a time. It's not that we can understand it it's not that I just throw it to you and you just get it. It's just start at one step at a time, right? So at the end, I would end with a quote from the Buddha in the sutras, right? Excellent is the one who has calmed the mind. A disciplined mind leads to happiness. So that's the quote. So this quote itself is really powerful, right? And the quote before also, you are your own friend, you are your own enemy. So combining these 2 quotes, I would end the session here for like little bit of sharing or questions or whatever type of discussions you may want to have for like around 10, 15 years, I think, yeah, around that. So, any questions? Or
Anyone?
Okay. Anyone with any questions? If not, I will start the ball rolling. So, Rumji, at around age 13, 14, you started learning Buddhist psychology.
Yeah.
For usually monks have to study for how long? How many years?
okay. Oh, I forgot that I had a mic here. Usually, this is the what we call preconditioning, right? In monastery, we usually have a question. We ask the question and we pass the mic back to the answerer, and we answer and back. This is like we are playing pass the baton, right? So, for me, I started learning Buddhist academics at a young age of, I think I started at 12. So 12, 13 is the second, right? Class 8 usually is class 8. But learning Buddhist psychology is lifelong. Lifelong. But specifically at the class 8, which we call Lorik, right? Dunjing Zinda. So we start learning like the categorization of the minds, right? The 7 minds, then the 2 categorization, then again the like 51 mental factors. We learn the categorization, and we also learn how each of the mind engages with what do we call engages with each of its objects, and how it ascertains and all this at that age, right? But again, I learned at the age of Abhidharma. Age of Abhidharma? No. The age, I think, around 22. So Abhidharma, we again started more deeper, right? We start to go more deeper into it. So basically, what I'm saying here, in our monastery culture, learning about the mind is not just one time. You continuously learn it. Even if it's not really focused on the mind, it's still focused on the mind. Like the psychology of the mind, right? Like we learn what different types, what causes the distortion of the reality and all this. So it's a lifelong process of learning. But the specific subject starts at the 8th class. Yes. Anybody else that want to share anything?
Thank you, Rinpoche. I had a couple of questions, but I'll start with one. How can we understand or rationalize the importance of accumulation of merits in the aspect of psychology, like in terms of training the mind? Is there a way to rationalize it? Thank you.
Okay. Rationalized. Okay.
Or understand.
Okay. This is, in a way, I feel like easy, right? You ask the question to yourself, when you are feeling this emotion, do you feel good or not? Right? So suppose when you feel anger, do you feel good or not? You ask that question first. So, like when you know that it doesn't feel good, right? Then we kind of understand that it's a bad emotion in a sense, right? Then what when we are saying about accumulating merit is we try to do good as much as we want. So similarly, if the emotion or of anger is hurting others or hurting yourself mentally or so on, then that's not good. So accumulating the good emotions, like what do we call helping others, bodhicitta and all, we feel good, right? We feel good. Generally we feel good, we feel satisfied and all this, if you are really generating the bodhicitta, right? Then here we can rationalize, seeing the more good you do, the more you are like, what do we call it, acclimatizing more, what's the word, used to this good emotion, the more better it becomes for you, right? You become more happier and so on. Similarly, the good merit is basically you doing good actions and having good emotion, not, I wouldn't say emotion, good result, thinking, good thoughts and all this, right? So when we sometimes think of good merit, we think of something good coming here, right? But basically it's the good actions caused by your good motivation. So when this is there, you try to do it as much as you can, so you leave an imprint, right? You leave an imprint. So accumulating merit is basically that, right? You having good thoughts, you having the thoughts of helping others. So I hope this in a way answers.
Yeah, I think you mean like to habituate the
Yes.
doing good.
So habituating the doing good, habituating the positive mindset of like what do we call good merits and all this is accumulating merit itself, right? So accumulating merit is not something that's like too foreign or that is somewhere here, and like having good thoughts about bodhicitta, and is when you are practicing bodhicitta, you are accumulating merit, right? So that, yeah. Okay.
Can I ask the leading question after that?
Leaving question.
I mean the second question.
Okay.
Next question. Because then, if let's say I have the best of intention, right, the best good motivation, but my execution of the action is quite bad.
Okay.
Because I don't have the wisdom to
Yes.
have a good action, and hence I might end up with a bad result.
Yeah.
So how do we check that? We have a good intention,
Yes,
but
yes,
how
yes.
do we make sure that we have a good action as well?
A good result as well. This as a what do we call human being, that's not at the level of the Buddhas, right? That's not at the level of the all-knowing ones. It's really hard to know what actions may drive, right? But as long as you have the good intentions and try your best with how to handle the situation, right? We try our best, like think through it, like the best way to handle it. Then in the long run, you won't feel the guilt, right? You won't feel the guilt. I didn't, even if the results come out a little bit, what do you call, so-so, yeah, so-so, then you won't feel the guilt that I did it out of greed, right? You won't feel the guilt. So in a way, even though in the short term the results may not be good, as I said before, in the long run it will benefit you, right? So in a way this is a mental struggle, like overthinking. Like of course, like we should think about whether this action is going to hurt them or not. We try our best to not hurt them mentally or physically or anything like that. Then we try our best. That's what I would say. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Anybody else? Okay. I think then we can stop here.